1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Munib Ahmed. First, the headlines. National Assembly was informed today that government is planning to reopen educational institutions from 15th of next month. President has urged the world community to take notice of Indian oppression in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Foreign Minister says Indian Hindutva ideology and unilateral illegal actions in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir pose threat to the entire region. Chairman of Parliamentary Committee on Kashmir has extolled journalist fraternity of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir for their resilience despite intimidations by the fascist Indian regime. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, India has started pestering Kashmiri students pursuing different courses in Pakistani colleges and universities, and many of them have been arrested on frivolous charges. In Philippines, 15 people were killed in twin blasts in Solo province today. And now the news in detail. The National Assembly was informed today that the government is planning to reopen educational institutions from the 15th of the next month. Responding to a calling attention notice in the House today, Minister for Federal Education and Professional Training Shafqat Mahmood said that a consultative meeting to take final decision regarding reopening of the school will be held on 7th of the next month. 3 bills were introduced in the upper house of the parliament as Senate session began with Chairman Sadiq Sanjarani in the chair today. These include the Islamabad Capital Territory Waterside Safety Bill 2020, the Protection of the Rights of Religious Minorities Bill 2020, and the Code of Criminal Procedure Amendment Bill 2020. Minister for Power Umar Ayub Khan has reiterated government's resolve to raise the share of renewable energy in the total power mix to 30% by 2030. He was talking to a Turkish ambassador, Mustafa Jordakul, who called on him in Islamabad today. The minister said 70% of the electricity will be produced by indigenous resources after 10 years. The minister apprised the ambassador about different dimensions of renewable energy policy. President Dr. Arif Alvi has urged the world community to take notice of Indian oppression in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. He expressed these views while talking to the president of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Jabrila Qais Baron, who called on him in Islamabad today. The president, Dr. Arif Alvi, said that the people of IIOJK are in extreme misery as India has unleashed a reign of terror against the innocent people, which is a clear violation of UN resolutions. He expressed the confidence that IPU would play its role to protect the rights of the people of IIOJK. Jabrila Qais Baron, who is also senator for Mexico, said that her country wants to work with Pakistan to promote closer ties in areas of mutual interest. Both sides emphasized the need to further strengthen bilateral relations in all fields of the mutual benefit of the people of Pakistan and Mexico. Talking to the president of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says Indian Hindutva ideology and unilateral illegal actions in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir pose threat to the entire region. He said Pakistan wants peaceful resolution of Kashmir issue in light of UN Security Council's resolutions. Shah Mahmood said unarmed civilians of IIOJ&K have been facing Indian atrocities in the form of curfew for the past 1 year. The foreign minister urged the IPU and international community to come forward to give innocent Kashmiris their legitimate right, the right to self-determination, and save them from Indian tyranny. Earlier, addressing a news conference in Islamabad, the foreign minister said there is no change in the stance of Saudi Arabia on Kashmir and that the OIC has several times passed unambiguous resolutions in support of oppressed Kashmiri people. He said China has also been holding a clear stance on Kashmir issue that the dispute should be resolved under the UN resolutions. To a question about Israel, Shah Mahmood Qureshi said Prime Minister Imran Khan has categorically stated Pakistan's stance on the issue, which reflects aspirations of the people of Pakistan. He said a delegation of Afghan Taliban is in Islamabad for consultations, and Pakistan's facilitating role on Afghan issue led to a peace agreement between the United States and the Afghan Taliban. Chairman of Parliamentary Committee on Kashmir, Shahryar Khan Afridi, has extolled the journalist fraternity of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir for their resilience and courage to speak truth to the power despite intimidations by the fascist Indian regime. He was speaking to a group of journalists from IIO J&K working in Pakistan that called on him in Islamabad today. Shahryar Khan Afridi said that dozens of Kashmiri journalists have been summoned to police stations after registration of FIRs against them in a bid to harass them. He said India occupying regime is attempting to muzzle their remaining major freedom of press by registering FIRs against journalists and summoning them at police stations in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Shahryar Khan Afridi said that the journalists working in occupied Kashmir are unsung heroes who, defying Indian occupation, tell the truth to the world about happening in IIO and K. This is Radio Pakistan. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, India has started pestering Kashmiri students pursuing different courses in Pakistani colleges and universities, and even many of them have been arrested on frivolous charges. According to Kashmir Media Service, the students and their parents told the media in Srinagar that hundreds of Kashmiri students who are studying or have completed their studies from Pakistan along with their families are forced to attend special police cells in the name of questioning. Tehreek-e-Muzahmat chairman Bilal Ahmed Siddiqui, addressing a party meeting in Singar, hailed Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan's efforts at the international level to resolve the Kashmir dispute. Human rights activist Mohammad Ahsan Antu visited the residence of senior APHC leader Mohammad Ashraf Sehrai and expressed solidarity with his family over the martyrdom of his son, Junaid Sehrai. He urged international human rights organizations to intervene for the release of all Kashmiri political prisoners, including Mohammad Ashraf Sehrai. Meanwhile, Indian police brutally assaulted women participants of peaceful Muharram procession in Zadibal area of Srinagar. Several women were injured when police resorted to baton charge against the mourners. In Afghanistan, 3 Afghan National Security Forces members were killed and 6 others wounded after a Taliban suicide car bomb targeted Dhijak district's office in eastern Ghazni province today. The blast also damaged the targeted office and nearby buildings. Morocco Prime Minister Saad Eddine El Othami has rejected the normalized relations with Israel because this will embolden it to further breach the rights of the Palestinian people. In a statement, he said, "We will always defend the rights of the Palestinian people and Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, which Israel occupied in 1967. In southern Philippines, 15 people, including a suicide bomber, were killed and 75 others injured in twin blasts in Solo province today. On the 4th day in the third and final cricket test against England at Southampton, Pakistan, for the short while ago. On the 4th day in the third and final cricket at the Southampton, the match between Pakistan and England was delayed due to rain. The scores: England 583 for 8 declared, Pakistan 273 and 41 for no loss. And finally, the weather. Rain with wind and thunder showers are expected in northeastern Punjab, Sindh, Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, southeastern Balochistan, and Kashmir during the next 24 hours. And the headlines once again. National Assembly was informed today that the government is planning to reopen educational institutions from 15th of next month. President has urged the world community to take notice of Indian oppression in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Foreign Minister says Indian Hindutva ideology and unilateral illegal actions in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir pose threat to the entire region. Chairman of Parliamentary Committee on Kashmir has extolled journalist fraternity of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir for their resilience despite intimidations by the fascist Indian regime. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, India has started pestering Kashmiri students pursuing different courses in Pakistani colleges and universities, and many of them have been arrested on frivolous charges. In Philippines, 15 people were killed in twin blasts in Solo province today. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analysis, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.